Well, hey everybody, Martika here with Martika J Makes. Welcome to my channel. So, if you are stopping by for the first time or if you are coming back and you are just beginning your sewing journey or thinking about learning how to sew, this video is for you. So, we're talking today about the basic tools that you need to sew. And if you are returning just to see what I'm talking about here, welcome back and thanks for coming back. So, this list, just to let you know, everything that I am giving you, you can also find it on my blog at Martika J Makes. All of the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you, you can also find them in my description box if you don't already have these tools yourself and you don't know where to get them or may not be close to a store where you can get them. So they will be linked in my description box. So let's start with the first one, which is a given. We're talking about a sewing machine. Yeah, you kind of need a sewing machine to sew, okay? There's no getting around this one. But what type of sewing machine do you need? What should it have on it? What should come with it? All of this good information that you're probably wondering about. You all, first of all, I feel like if you are beginning to sew, the best sewing machine that you can get, number one, is one that you can just get your hands on quick that have the basic stitches, like your straight stitch, your zigzag stitch, one that you can definitely adjust your tension on. You might have like an overlocking stitch if you want to kind of finish your edges that way. You can. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. If you want to basically do like different little designs, some machines come with that. You don't need that at the beginning. Your straight stitch, your zigzag stitches are the main ones that you need. Also, if the machine comes with buttonhole stitches, okay, to where you can make your buttonholes on your machines, that is very, very helpful to have, okay? But even if it's an older machine and it does not come with that feature, there is usually a way that you can make your buttonholes. You want to make sure that if you are borrowing a machine, or if you say picked up a machine at the thrift store or at a garage sale or something like that, you want to make sure that you have the instruction book to that machine, okay? If that machine just so happens to not have the instruction book with it, you can probably most likely go online, get on eBay. Some people sell instruction books to certain things where, people may have left the book behind or something like that, but you need to know how to work that machine. Get on the brand's website, whether it's Singer or Brother or a lot of the other brand, I can't even think of anymore right now, Baby Lock, all of the different machine brands. Get on their site to see if there is a way that you can get the instruction book to that. Just get online, Google the instruction book for your machine model. So you need the instruction book with that machine, or you at least need to know how to get to the basic instructions of how to use certain things in that machine. Now, most machines do come with the tools that that machine needs for you to sew, okay? A lot of times most of the time, it will come with a needle, okay? A universal sewing machine needle in that machine, and you may even have a backup or two with that machine. That's great to have. If you pick it up, say like at the thrift store somewhere, you may not have those sewing machine needles with it. So you might need to run to the store, to Hobby Lobby or Joann's or some local thrift store, Walmart. Walmart even carries these things to get your basic, your universal sewing machine needles. Okay, just keep it as less expensive as possible. These don't cost a lot, but you don't want to be out there just trying to get the top brand. You're learning, okay? They usually come with like your bobbin case, whether that be the metal one or the little plastic bobbins. So they usually come with bobbins for your bobbin thread. They also usually come with things like tools to clean your machine. Sometimes you might get like an extension piece for a longer, flatter surface for your machine. They come with your presser feet, okay, your universal presser foot, and you may even have some different type of most used presser feet in with that machine as well, like one for buttonholes, like one for zipper presser foot, and things like that, things that you will end up using. Okay. So, like I said, if it's new, you will most likely have these things. If it's not, you may be missing a few things. But if you have that basic, that universal presser foot, those universal sewing machine needles, and your bobbins, that's all you need to worry about from the beginning. Okay. Now, the next thing that you need is your fabric scissors. Okay. And I'm going to generalize this as scissors as a whole because I'm going to tell you about three different types. Okay. Number one, your fabric scissors. These are scissors that only cut your fabric. Okay. You do not use these scissors for paper, you will ruin them for cutting fabric. Okay. You will find that if you get to using these scissors for things around the house or whatever, they will not cut your fabric. So if you have to write on your pair of scissors the way that I did for my family in permanent marker fabric and let everybody know, do not touch these scissors, that's what you have to do because your fabric scissors should only be used for fabric. The next pair of scissors you should have is paper scissors, okay? And this is for cutting out your patterns, okay? So you cannot use your fabric scissors for cutting out your patterns. That is tissue paper, so to speak, but it's paper. And you find yourself doing that, you won't be able to use it that way. Your paper scissors is just for paper, okay? And another pair of scissors that I feel that you need as a beginner, because it depends on the type of fabric you're using, your fabric may fray. And this is not the time that I would say go out and buy a serger to finish your edges. That's not a necessity at the beginning. You can simply finish your edges with pinking shears, okay? That is the scissors with the zigzags on it. Not just as a beginner, but I even still use my pinking shears sometimes when I don't necessarily need to finish the edges on everything, or I might not have finished the edges on something before I sewed it together. So I can simply go in with my pinking shears and take care of that and keep that fabric from fraying. Okay. So those are three pair of scissors that I think that you need when you are beginning to sew. The next thing that you need is your measuring tape. There's no getting around this. If you are making garments, and some sewing machines do come with a measuring tape, but you need a measuring tape, okay? And it doesn't hurt to have a backup because sometimes these measuring tapes can get lost in your house. Ask me how I know. But you do need a measuring tape, okay? This is to measure your body measurements. This may be to measure a piece of fabric around a curve, or like a curve piece, like an underarm piece or something like that. You need a measuring tape, okay? Don't try to get around that. You need it, and it's so inexpensive. You can get it for a few cents nowadays, y'all. So get your measuring tape. You need a seam ripper, a must. A lot of sewing machines come with that too, but I personally like the ergonomic seam ripper, okay? The ergonomic seam ripper, it just fits in the palm of your hand and it makes it so comfortable. Why is this important, Martika? Because as a beginner and even as an experienced sewist like myself, you're gonna pull that thing out a lot, okay? I have often said if I don't pull my seam ripper out during a project, I feel like I've done something wrong. Because there is usually something that I need to rip that seam apart because I've sewn the wrong measurement, I've sewn the wrong part, or something like that, just not paying attention. At some point, you will need your seam ripper, okay? And at the beginning, you're going to need it often. You have to have a seam ripper. The next thing that you need are your pins, okay? And not just your pins, but you need something to put your pins on or stick them in, such as like the magnetic plate or a pin cushion. But you do need your straight pins. Of course, you need it for sewing, for not sewing, but for pinning your pieces together to hold them together and hold them even for when you sew. Okay. I prefer a longer pin, like a quilting pin, because I feel like it's number one, I feel like it just gives me more room to really hold, to kind of weave it in and out if I need to. It gives me more room to move that pin back and forth if I need to move it out of the way as I sew and might not have gotten to that part yet. And it just handles better if you ask me. Okay, if you just have the regular size stick pins, that's fine, just use what you have. But I personally like a quilting pin. You can get these just like with the little ball head, or you can even get these with like cute little decorative heads, like little butterflies. I think they have them with like little buttons and things like that. So definitely have you some straight pins and something to put them on or in as you remove them from your fabric as you sew, so they're not falling on the floor. That's not something you want to step on. The next thing you need are hand needles, okay? Needles. You do need hand needles because some projects, a lot of wearables that we sew to wear, even projects like if you're doing like pillowcases and things like that, at some point you're going to need to hand stitch those together, okay? It's usually called a slip stitch. You need a hand needle for this. This is not something that you can do on the sewing machine. And you need this because some stitches need to be finished off this way, and it needs to be invisible. So make sure you have some hand needles. These are very inexpensive as well. I like the little wheel of hand needles that you can turn around and then turn the thing and then lock it in so that your needles stay in place. And then you get like all different sizes and lengths in these. So I really like those. But yeah, you do need some hand needles. The next thing you need, of course, is your thread, y'all. Okay, this is a given. You need thread. And not only do you need thread to match your garment, you will need, I would say, make sure that you have enough of your main colors used. Now, only you can determine the colors that you use the most, but I will tell you, black is a given. I can never have enough black as a backup, okay? I pick up black thread all the time so that I always have it. I ran out of black thread one time and it was not pretty. Okay. So that was one time and it was never happening again after that. So black thread is a popular one. Depending on if you do like a lot of lighter colors, white thread, might be one of your most used colors. Your browns may be one of your most used colors. It depends on you and what you are sewing. And if you're sewing garments, you will determine what a lot of the colors that you are sewing the most of. So it's up to you, to make sure that you have enough thread in the color that you need. Now, at the beginning, I would not say that you need every color of the rainbow, okay? Because like I said before, you need to know what colors you're going to be working with. You may be working with mostly neutrals. So if you go and buy all of these colorful colors, they may never get used. So at the beginning, I say buy as you go. Okay. When you know that you're going to work on a project, you know what fabric you're going to use. If that black or that white thread or that brown thread, your basic neutrals does not go with that, then you're going to need to go and get that thread that matches that fabric. And when you do that, cut you a little snippet of the corner of that fabric so you can take it to the store with you to make sure that you are matching it up with that thread as best as you can. So yeah, make sure that you do have enough thread. Your marking tools, okay? I have several different marking tools because I have grown to love some and I have grown to hate some, okay? So, my marking tools, my favorite marking tools, I must tell you, is my heat erasable pens. Okay, they are erased away with heat with the iron or whatever. But let me tell you, I probably wouldn't recommend this to you as a beginner, but I'll go ahead and link it in the description box just in case you want to give it a try. And the reason why I say that is because you're going to be pressing a lot as you go. You should be pressing your seams open as you go along in your project. And sometimes those markings that you have made, you need, and you forget that you use the heat erasable pens, and you look and they're gone. Okay. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't say just start off using this, but you can get them if you just want to have them on hand to try them out. But of course, your chalk, I love Taylor's chalk because it basically marks for you without you having to put a bunch of pressure on it. Some chalk pencils, you have to kind of color with it a little bit to get that color onto your fabric. But those are, you can use those. There are the crayon type almost marking pencils as well. You can use those as well. So there are all different types of marking pens. There's marking pens, some that come out in the wash when you wash it, and the label will tell you if it's like a washable pen or something like that. But it is labeled as a marking tool. Okay, so just know that when you are looking for marking tools, make sure that you are paying attention to how to wash that marking little print out that you put on there. Now, the next thing you need, and you most likely have this, is an iron and an ironing board. Okay, so yes, you can use the iron and ironing board you already have at home. However, I would definitely suggest getting a separate iron for your sewing maybe at some point. Okay, you don't have to necessarily just do this at the beginning, but maybe at some point get you a separate iron for your sewing projects. Sometimes because you can be using interfacing, and fusible interfacing can tend to get on the back of the plate of that iron, and you have to clean it off and scrape it off, which I have come up with a way to keep that from happening, and I'm going to be sharing that in a separate video. But yeah, at some point you're going to want a separate iron for your sewing project, something that an iron that the whole family is not using. Okay. So yeah, you definitely need an iron and an ironing board. A ruler. You will need a straight ruler. Okay. I love a clear acrylic rulers, a ruler that I can see through. But yeah, you will definitely need a straight ruler because you're going to probably be measuring quite often as you go, and my ruler gets used very often. The next thing you need, of course, is your fabric. All right, what fabric are you doing your first project with? And I strongly suggest, if you are a beginner sewer, do not start with knit. Please, please save yourself frustration and start with a cotton. Okay, start with something like a cotton or even a linen. These are very easy fabrics to sew through. They're very stable, and it's going to help you to see your stitches a little better, to get your straight stitches right, and all of that good stuff. Maybe go to your knits a little later, but I definitely would not suggest starting with knits. I love sewing with knits. Okay, but that's after I got experience in sewing. Okay, a little bit of experience under my belt. Okay, at some point in your beginner stage, you will mess with knits at some point, but I would say your first project, absolutely not. Please don't do that to yourself. Now, the next thing you're going to need is your pattern. What pattern are you using? What are you sewing? Are you sewing something to wear for yourself? Are you sewing something for your home, maybe a home decor piece or something? Are you sewing something for your kids or your spouse? Or are you crafting something for gifts? What are you sewing? Whatever it is, you are going to need your pattern for that, okay? And because you need your pattern, you're also going to need pattern weights, okay? I like to use these washer tools. I bought these really large washer tools from my local Home Depot. You can also get them online, but you don't have to go out and buy anything. I mean, I have literally seen people using canned goods at the beginning, okay, as pattern weights. Anything that has weight to it that's going to hold that pattern down on top of that fabric while you cut that fabric out around that pattern. That's what they're for, and that's all you're pretty much going to use them for the most part. Okay, so if you are trying to save a little money, go ahead and look around your house, see what you have. I mean, a book. Put a book, if that pattern piece is wide enough, put your book in the middle of that pattern piece. You might need a couple of them to hold them down, but let's just go old school, okay? Because you don't necessarily need a pattern weight at the beginning, but I like to use them because they're just quick to put on and take off. However, when I started learning how to sew, we were using our sewing pins, our straight pins, to pin the pattern to the fabric. And you can definitely do that. It's still popular today, where you're pinning the fabric, the pattern to the fabric, and it holds it in place. And once you're done cutting it out, you remove your pins and separate your pattern piece if you don't need that pattern piece to stay with that fabric as a guide. There you have it. You don't have to buy pattern weights, but I wanted to throw that one in there for you, okay? And last but not least, you guys, I strongly suggest, I have to show you mine. Get your notebook, okay? Get you a notebook, any kind. Get you a journal, get you just a spiral bound notebook, just a regular little wide ruled, college ruled, whatever. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you're going to want to take notes, okay, on what you're doing. Maybe it's something that you messed up on that you want to remember not to do the next time. Maybe it's something about that pattern that you want to jot down a little note on, okay? Maybe it's a measurement that you took, you want to jot down a little note on that. Now, yes, there are sewing planners and things like that, but we're talking about learning to sew, beginning to sew. So you're not necessarily going to be like planning your projects just yet because you're trying to learn how to sew your projects, all right? So just having a notebook is so helpful in jotting down, whatever notebooks whatever things you want to do or you think you want to do. You might brainstorm. You might want to try a dress the next time. You might want to try some pants or a skirt or a little toy for your baby. You might want to sew something like that. So yeah, just have you a notebook because it does come in handy, and that way you're not writing out your little notes on a bunch of Post-its and sticking them everywhere and losing them. All right, so have a notebook that's dedicated just for sewing. Like I said, spiral bound, those composition notebooks right now, those are perfect for these type of projects. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, all of these will be in my blog, so you can go there, take a look. You can get all of the links to everything that I have talked about as far as these tools. You can go right to the description box and definitely check them out in my Amazon store. And yes, I do get commission from that. So that is it, you guys. That's all for the tools, the basic tools that I feel you need to begin your sewing projects. You can definitely get your projects done with everything that I have mentioned. Once again, the links to everything is in my description box. And to go over these or even to print out or jot down some notes, you can go to my blog, okay? And I have listed these in my blog at martikajmakes.com. And this way you can start your sewing journey without having to worry about what you need or what you probably don't have. You can make sure you have it right away. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you have not, and make sure you hit that thumbs up on this video. That really helps my channel out. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great one. Bye-bye.